Hi, everyone. I just wanted to thank you if you were able to make the first Facebook Live I've ever did, just introducing the idea of the Back to Basics workshop. There has been some feedback in terms of looking at some clarity issues, like what is osteopathy and how does it differ from physiotherapy, which might be something you're all very aware of. What is the goal of the session of osteopathy? And um, can I put a video together of what exactly the movements looked like? Because I know the camera was not allowing for that um, the other day. So I apologize for that. So I can definitely do that here. I have a little uh, PowerPoint that I did many years ago, just about what osteopathy is. And oh, looks like I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go through this because I think this will help to clarify. Um, I mean, for me, when I'm doing a course, I want to be like, why is this person qualified to be talking to me right now? So that's a fair question. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about osteopathy and why it might relate to, um, especially anything that you're doing with the sweet sobriety community. So let's get started. My background actually started as an energetic therapist, and then I realized I had such a huge passion for helping people that I wanted to basically have a little bit more credibility. So I went to school to get a license in registered massage therapy. And then I worked for about 3 years. I felt I felt like I was running out of steam and I wasn't doing the change and helping clients in a way that I wanted to. Um, I might have had a bit of an arrogance about me that thought I can overcome and do everything and fix people. And I learned that was not the case, and that's okay. But it did inspire me to go further into what it is that I knew. So in the workshop, I talked about massage therapy being the education that taught me about anatomy, and then osteopathy being sort of like the down the rabbit hole deep dive that looked at how everything was all connected. So my education in osteopathy was 5 years of academic work, and then I did an additional 2 years of research. And I'll tell you a little bit about the research at the end. It's actually kind of cool. Right. So I started in 2007 as a registered massage therapist, and I've worked in Colorado, British Columbia, Alberta, and Ontario in Canada. I was also a lead instructor for the professional practice course, basically the business course at the Canadian College of Massage and Hydrotherapy in Cambridge. That course just looked at the standards of practice in massage therapy as well as the business aspect of it. I was also a supervisor in the student clinic, which I just loved, loved, loved. It was so much fun. By this point, I was in school for osteopathy, so to be able to go back into the massage therapy clinic and offer some interesting anatomical insights that I didn't get in massage college, I thought was really cool. Uh, because I can be a bit of an envelope pusher, there was a time that because I was doing things a bit different, sometimes people complained. So I did actually get called into the office of the, I don't know what you'd call it, whoever oversaw the school, the principal equivalent, and said that students are saying that you are teaching osteopathy. And I said, great, what's osteopathy? And then so nothing happened. So something that's not necessarily easy to off the top of your head define. So I actually like didn't get in trouble because the reality is that osteopathy is just a deep dive into anatomy. And so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it from what my college said. So here's a definition of osteopathy from the school that I went to. It's a natural medicine that aims to restore function in the body by treating the causes, the root causes of pain and imbalance. Relying on the quality of finesse of their palpation, the osteopathic manual practitioners work with the position, the mobility, and the quality of the tissues. Now, you might be thinking, what does quality of tissues look like? So, my training is um, to be able to feel for changes in the tissue. So, changes such as congestion, swelling, dehydration, scarring, stiffness, density issues, loss of resilience, or loss of like spring in the tissue. And it all feels different. And the more that you do it, the longer you do it, like anything, you can pick it up more quickly. I can even see it in people when they move. I'm like, that didn't move very well. Come here. Let me let me touch you. So the osteopathy is like the ability to detect these modifications, like the training that you have to go through is part of the assessment skill. And it is used to determine which tissues or systems need attention primarily. Like, what's the primary issue here? We got a limited time. Let's get to it, right? What's going to serve this person the best? And so I entered osteopathy with a massage therapy background, so I have like the massage hands. And like my training was to like get in there, make change happen. And one of the teachers said to me, Megan, the good thing about you is that you are not afraid. You are going to like get in there and you have a lot of experience doing that. But what you're going to need to learn is how to back off because you can't go in there and manhandle tissue and expect to receive this feedback of these very sensitive changes in terms of fluid and also like you can sort of go in like a bull in a china shop and miss a bunch of things. So that's the thing that I really had to work on. So in osteopathy, we believe that the body has the innate ability to heal itself and to self-regulate. One of the key factors that allows for this is the ability of the body to freely circulate all of its fluids and liquids. Essentially, we believe that everything that keeps you alive travels in a fluidic state because I'll tell you in a moment how much of us is actually made up of fluid that when something impedes that, there are repercussions. And if most of us is fluid, then you can probably buy that, well, then this must be a very sensitive pressure system. Darn right. If you have swelling somewhere or congestion somewhere, you kind of have it everywhere. So the fluids that we're talking about include our blood, our lymphatic fluid, our synovial fluid, which is fluid inside of joints, our digestive juices, cerebral spinal fluid, and all of the other intracellular and extracellular fluids in the body. So this next slide is so cool because it really highlights that saying where you're like, oh, your body's like 70% water. It's like, well, it's not really water, but like definitely fluid for sure. So we take a look at the slide. We see heart and lungs composed of 73% fluid. Or sorry, brain and heart. Is that right? Yeah. Also dyslexic, so this has been a joy. Um, Lots of fluid, almost 75% fluid in heart and brain. Lungs, 83% fluid. Doesn't that blow your mind? 83? What else is left? They're like big sacks of fluid essentially hanging out there. Skin, 64% of our skin is fluid. Muscles, kidneys, almost 80% made up of fluid. Even our bones are about 31% fluid. So that really speaks to if you have a kink in the hose, something that is like affecting how the fluid travels. It affects how the body works at the most fundamental, basic level. And remember, the Back to the Basics workshop is all about revisiting the fundamentals. So we want those to be solid and clear because that dictates how well we're going to do as we go away from there, as we build onto that. So the liquids I just talked about, these are the life-sustaining compounds. We're talking about hormones, enzymes, and their secretions, immune function, neurotransmitters, their impulses, nutritional elements, and dissolved gases like oxygen. Anybody need some of that? So the fluids are involved in all facets of life. And you might think, okay, so if I'm working with sweet sobriety and I'm dealing maybe with some mental and emotional aspects of my life, why would this workshop be beneficial? How would it complement what I'm doing? And what we're just learning right now is that everything that dictates whether you're going to have a good day or not is likely related to a fluid. So in my workshop, as I go through and highlight for you areas in the feet, areas in the back, areas in the core, as we explore those areas together, as you are connecting your thought to the physicality of the movement, it is, I know it's very cheesy to say this, but it is all one. There is no separation between physical, mental, and emotional. So what ends up happening is if you can help one, the others also improve. It's really fascinating. So we're just going to keep driving this home. Any obstruction or delay in the circulation of fluids within the body is the goal. Like finding resolution for this is the goal of the osteopathic assessment and treatment. Because sometimes I treat people and they've come in for a shoulder or a knee. And I almost always touch that area because it's very good mentally and emotionally to actually have someone touch there. But I might go, oh my gosh, this person's torso is so congested that that knee, for example, can't heal because it can't drain because there's a kink in the hose higher up. So my job is I gotta figure out how to free this up so that things can flow, they can drain, and they can feed. And what's super interesting is that the drainage component is actually the thing you want to free up first. So you have to be able to create freedom to allow for drainage in the area because it kind of draws, it creates this like negative space and it draws the nutrients and the oxygen and the hormones and all the things that help it heal to the area. So the drainage of the area actually facilitates with the feeding of the area, which is super cool. Delays that may impede our fluids can be structural. So it could be you twisted something, you pulled something, you might have a vertebrae out of alignment, but they can also be non-structural. These can be those mental, emotional stresses and blocks. And I looked at stress with my thesis and I found it quite fascinating. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. So yeah, again, no separation. So managing mental and emotional stuff is fantastic because it does force you to like deal with this right here. And the overlap with what I see for this workshop is like, oh, we're going on an anatomical journey. We're going in there. We're going in there physically. So sometimes there might be thoughts and emotions that you're like, I just don't want to deal with that. It's just so exhausting to deal with. It's like, here's another avenue for you to get in to help you come back home. So blockages can affect the control of the systems that regulate fluid circulation and their sustaining products. So back to mental and emotional blockages, including physical blockages, they can be the reason that things aren't flowing. So oftentimes, I mean, who do you know that doesn't have mental and emotional stuff going on? I know nobody like that. I don't even want to hang out with anybody like that. I cannot relate. Um, so people are coming in, they got a combination of both because there's no separation. It's all one. Um, and these things can manifest locally or they can manifest distantly from the site of occurrence. So that means that you might come in and you have a headache. But maybe you have had a really stressful couple of weeks or couple of days. Maybe you got something big going on at work coming up. Maybe you've had a fight with your kid or your spouse, someone that means a lot to you, and it's showing up in a physical way. There's a lot of times that I see physical manifestations of stress. So it's like you're stressed out. You're not breathing properly. You're not eating properly. You're not resting properly. Well, how do you think that impacts the physicality of the vehicle that you have to walk around in? Greatly. That's the answer. So my job is to assess and treat the body as a whole because that's like the most bang for your buck. It's like, okay, your shoulder hurts. I've actually gone to my osteopath years ago and I said, because I was still treating as a massage therapist. I said, oh my gosh, my forearms, they hurt so much. It's what I'm doing. And she said, okay, do you want me to go in and just treat your forearms? Or do you want me to try and find something that will make it last longer? And I was like, please just treat my forearms. They're just so sore. Like, I really just need some relief. And she goes, okay. So she treated my forearms and they felt good for like 1 day. Fantastic. And then the next time I saw her, I said, please do not give me the option of telling you how to do your job because it felt nice at the time and I had very short-term relief. And if you know something better, then that's what I'm paying for. So it was kind of funny. So, although treatment may be directed towards several specific areas, the effects of the treatment are often felt throughout the body. So, going back to that example of maybe there's congestion or like a kink in the hose higher up, and we have a symptom in the knee or the foot or the ankle, somewhere distal to that. Well, we need to make sure the whole system is back online so that the area where the symptom is coming from can go, oh, thank you. You have just given me access to what I need to heal, and now I can feel better. So, once the nature of the patient's condition is determined, which is what we do in assessment, the direction is directed towards helping the body regain its ability to circulate the fluids unimpeded in a sufficient quantity, which is the example I just gave you. The restoration of circulation leads to the body's natural ability to regulate and heal itself. Again, that's the example we just talked about. So in osteopathy, we have four pillars that are the foundation of how we think, how we work, how we treat people. So number one, we believe that each structure in the body supports the body's function. If a structure is damaged, out of place, or otherwise not working properly, the body will not function at its best. Number two, the natural flow of the body's fluid must be preserved and maintained. Again, lymphatic, vascular, neurological. Number three, the human body is the sum of its all parts. Again, everything is connected, related. Its physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and cognitive systems don't work independently, they work in harmony. Tying it all back in to how does mental emotional work connect with, relate to the workshop that she's talking about. That's talking about the physicality of feet and back and core. That's where it is. Everything works in harmony. Number four, when the body has no restrictions, it has the inherent ability to heal itself. So that just means when it doesn't have restrictions, it has the ability to access the ingredients that it needs for healing. So I'll tell you a little bit about my research. So I looked at a healthy, stressed out population, and I wanted to know if a particular cranial hold technique that I learned in school would affect heart rate variability. So heart rate variability is important because it is the time frame between heartbeats. And there is a saying that a heart is not a metronome. So there has to be variety of times between our heartbeats. And that is an indication of how adaptable somebody's system is. As we age, what's the word I want to say? Uh, Automatically, as we age, we get more similar and more similar spaces of time between heartbeats. So as we age, we're less adaptable. Or if we have a high amount of stress going on, if we're not doing well, we will also see that in the heart rate variability. There will be less variability between heartbeats. So I used this cranial technique. And what I was able to see was that the technique was able to help improve the variability. It offered more variety back to the heart rate, which was great. And the reason I was looking at a stressed out population in my research, I looked at a study that interviewed primary healthcare practitioners, so nurses and doctors, and the majority of what people were patients were coming in with were stress related. And we wanted to, the study looked at what is happening when these people come in and why aren't they getting appropriate help for stress related stuff. And some of the reasons were that the doctors weren't trained in that. They were trained in pathology. You have something big and bad, and I can test for that. I can help you with that. Um, Many of these doctors and nurses didn't do anything like that for themselves. So it's really hard to refer somebody to go do yoga or a breathing class or a massage therapist or an osteopath if A, you don't know what it is, or B, you don't do that for yourself. And so what ended up happening in that particular study is the people would then return because the stress is sort of left unchecked and they would have, worse symptoms or they would have a pathology of something that showed up. And it was until that time that the guidance from the physician would say, you need to reduce your stress. But there was no further guidance. There wasn't, okay, what does that look like? So then people are just sort of left with, okay, I have to address my stress, but I don't know what that looks like. I had a similar personal experience like that. I actually was going through my own research, studying stress, and I got to a point where I was so stressed out I was pretty much on the doorstep of adrenal fatigue. And my naturopath at the time said, you really need to not be working as much. And I said, honey, I'm booked a year in advance. So what does that look like? Like, what do you mean don't work so much? So it was really eye-opening for me to look back and go, holy crow, I was literally studying how stress affects the body and I couldn't even identify it for myself. So how in the world are regular Joes supposed to know this? So, anyways, that was just like a little bit of insight into my research that I found super helpful. So that to me speaks about the power of careers like massage therapy and osteopathy because stress is a killer. Stress is like a really foundational, dangerous thing. And societally, we're not really addressing it. I think these days we are getting much better, but there's a lot to be said for, addressing something early on. Um, okay, so that's a little bit about osteopathy. I want to, one of the questions that came up was to distinguish between osteopathy and physiotherapy. So, um, I would say, now, first of all, I am not a physiotherapist, so I can easily just be like, I don't know what they do. But that's just my way of getting out of it. But generally, my understanding that physiotherapy often focuses on specific injuries or really rehabilitative exercises for a particular joint or condition. And then osteopathy, I would say we tend to look more broadly at how the whole body is working together and using gentle techniques, we help to improve movement and balance between these systems. Both professions can be very helpful. We just approach things differently. So the goal of an osteopathic session was one of the questions, like what is it? Essentially, like I just said, we want to improve the flow of the person. We want to make sure that we are identifying whatever the big bully on the playground is and finding some resolution for that person so that that body can get back to doing what it knows how to do, which is healing itself. Um, Let's see. So oh yeah, I'm gonna show you the movement that I did the other day with the external rotation. One of the questions was, does the act of externally rotating our shoulders, does it work only when we're carrying things or just on its own? And honey, it's just on its own. The great thing about it is that when you have to carry something, remember what I said? It was like the most powerful position of the shoulder. So you can just walk around like that. But especially if you're gonna carry something around, you want to do that action. So I'm going to stand up here. Hopefully my camera won't go bonkers like it did last time. Okay. So I am standing like so. My hands are facing towards my body. I'm just sinking into my feet here. Okay. So from here, I'm going to turn my hands out. And if I can, which I can, I'm going to continue to rotate my shoulders out. Did you notice how when I came from here to here, my chest lifted? Oh, yeah, perfect. So my arms are out a little bit. I'm just going to get them to relax. And I can sort of relax my forearms a bit, and I'm still standing nicely in my skeleton. So if I was going to do a bicep curl at the gym, for example, one of the things I want to do is I want to pull my elbow in tight. I want to lift something as close to my midline as I can. That's what makes me powerful. So the example of carrying our groceries, start like this and then like this, because now it's like boom, your back is online. You are powerful. You are in your skeleton. Here's something I didn't share, but it's a helpful little tip. To help improve your posture, one of the things you can do quickly is a shoulder roll with your thumbs to the back wall. You can go in external rotation, shoulder roll, and then from here, just drop the forearms. Now you're nice and tall in your skeleton. So there, that's a little trick. Hopefully this visual really helped. And if you have any further questions, please let us know. If you're still on the fence about registering, I don't want you to miss out because I'll be so excited to see you. We have a really fun thing planned, and you'll never think about your feet, your back, or your core the same way. So I hope this helped. Have a great Tuesday, and I'm hopefully going to see you on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Bye.